Okay, last class we discussed SOQL queries, right? I think SOQL query parent to child, child to parent we discussed. Anyone have any questions? Please let me know. Right, today we are going to discuss aggregate functions. Okay, aggregate functions. What is aggregate functions is? So generally, in master detail, we have a roll-up summary, right? We have a roll-up summary in configuration. Roll-up summary. What is the roll-up summary? We can calculate the data based on parent. We can summarize the child data, right? That already you know. What are the roll-up summary actions we have? So we can do for count number of childs for particular parent record, and also we can do for sum, and also we can do for maximum value we can validate, and also we can do for minimum value. So this is possible only for roll-up summary. It is a master detail relationship. If it is a lookup relationship, or if you want to calculate like this any code level, then what are the alternate approach in program level means that is something like aggregate functions. Okay, we are call it as aggregate functions in Salesforce. So by programming how we are going to count the data, number of records, or how to summarize the data, how to calculate these type of actions, roll-up summary actions by using programming. Programming means that we can use for aggregate functions. Okay. So what are the aggregate functions are available in Apex means? In Apex, what are the aggregate functions are available means? One is same count, and also we have a minimum value, maximum value, and also we can use summarize, and also other values also we can do average value as well. So these are the aggregate functions we can use in Apex code. Okay, so in alternate approach for configuration is roll up summary. If similar kind of functionality we can do for calculation in Apex code, then we can use for this aggregate functions. Okay, so in that aggregate functions, generally we can use for opportunity level. There is a object called aggregate result. Aggregate aggregate result is one of the object. Based on aggregate result, we can calculate the data and we can store into that aggregate result object. Okay, so how to get the aggregate result means there is a method we have. How to store the data or how to find the particular data means simply string name equal to so type of the string which data type it is, particular value, and what is the result is nothing but this is the aggregate result. Okay, we can use for result value like this, result dot that is get of name. Like this we can get the data for, we can get the particular aggregate result value. But how to get the data, how to get these values in aggregate result means that we'll discuss now. Okay, so if you go to here, go to, I will show you just aggregate query. Okay, later we'll discuss more examples. Now here, aggregate result object, how we are going to get better, we can use for developer console. So in this developer console, what we need to do? So go to the anonymous window. Just remove this code. Okay. See, now I'll tell you an example how to use aggregate result. Okay. Right. Aggregate result object. Just simply I'm going to insert one opportunity. First, what we need to do? Insert opportunity record. Insert opportunity. Opportunity OPP equal to new opportunity. Okay, so now here opp dot name equal to test account. Okay, test opportunity record, and also opp dot, because of opportunity there is some mandatory fields we have, that is stage name equal to, so we are using for closed one. Okay, we can use prospecting whatever you want. Opportunity dot close date equal to system.today plus maybe 12 days. Okay, like this we can use. Now simply you can insert the opportunity. Okay, so if you insert opportunity now, the record is created successfully here. Okay, so either we can insert the data like this, otherwise you can pass the data inside here also. Okay, we can pass the data inside here. Now how to get the aggregate result object, how to get that opportunity data? Let's see what is the object name. Aggregate result object. What is aggregate result object means? Let's see. Aggregate result, this is the object we can use for result variable. So simply what we need to do, select what is that. Simply I can use for id from opportunity. No, we are not going to use like this, id comma opportunity. Why? Because we need to get the aggregate values inside the query. How to get the aggregate value? Suppose you want the total amount of the data, how we are going to get the total amount? Sum is nothing but a function, that is the aggregate function. Inside the sum, what is the field name, which field we are going to refer? Suppose I'm going to use amount. Okay, otherwise instead of here directly we can run query here. Select id from opportunity. Okay, if you export now, the data is exported, total 38 records. Now how to use aggregate functions inside the query means, what is the function called? Sum of amount. Just you can mention sum of amount. Just export now. See, total opportunity amount. What is the object here? Aggregate result object. Aggregate result object. Like this, we can store the aggregate data from opportunity. So what is the total amount of all the opportunity? So this is the 8365000 is the total opportunity. Okay, if you want another aggregate function, what is the minimum opportunity? Minimum amount. What is the minimum amount? And also maximum is the function. What is the maximum value? Whatever value you are going to measure, that you can mention inside the value. And what is the average amount? What is the average amount? Okay, if you want any count of the opportunity, we can mention count also. Just export now. See, count is, at least you have to put id, something we can put. See now, total opportunity amount means, suppose there is a 33 opportunities we have. In that 33, total amount is, what is the total amount? This is the total amount. Like this only we can calculate by using roll-up summary, right? So now what is the minimum amount? Which opportunity having minimum amount? This is the minimum amount, this is the maximum amount, and this is average amount. Total 38 opportunities are there. Total 38 opportunities are there. Okay, now here that expression also, first value it is showing as expression 0, expression 1, expression 2. Do you want to change the header value for each row? Yes, we can change. What is that? Sum, the field name which value you are calculating, and you can put the header value. Okay, so amount total amount, and here we can put minimum amount, and here you can put maximum amount. Here you can put average amount. Okay, here total opportunities. Oops. Just click on export now. See here the header values also it is changed. But whenever you run the query, which object the data is resulting, that is something like aggregate result. Okay, like this we can use aggregate result object in Apex code. So simply we can copy this code, and simply we can mention inside the query, and we can print this query. Okay, just simply system.debug result is just you can print the result. Just export So this is not required anyway, we'll discuss later. Just you can use aggregate result. Execute now. It is executing without any error. So it is calculating right data. That is the reason it is taking time. Go to the debug only. See here, total amount, minimum amount, maximum amount, average amount. Like this we can fetch the data by using aggregate functions. Hope you clear how to write the SOQL query for aggregate functions. Okay. So we can use result like this. After fetching the result, do you want to print any value, or do you want to track any value? Then we can use, this is the syntax for that. Okay, this is the syntax. Okay, so here one more query. What is one more example we'll discuss? Write a SOQL query. Write a SOQL. Write a SOQL to aggregate the data. Aggregate. Sorry. Aggregate the opportunity data, opportunity amount based on stage name. Based on stage name. How to aggregate the data? See, suppose here we are aggregating total data without any checking, right? Now, opportunity having different stages, right? Each stage, what is the total name? What is the total amount? What is the average amount? How to find out based on the stage name? Means whenever you are going to make the data based on certain conditions, then you have to put where condition. We need to use, there is a function called group by. Okay, so group by stage name. Just you can mention stage name, then export now. See, if you mention group by stage name, see, this is the data. Okay, suppose whatever field you are using group by, that field we can add into inside the query. Inside the query, simply we can use stage name. Suppose if we are not using group by, just to remove the group by. Now click on export. Query is not accepting. Whatever field whatever aggregate query, in aggregate query, any field you added to track the data or print the data or return the data, the query is not accepted. Whatever field you added, that field must be as a group by. Whatever field you are added, that field must be added as a group by, then only system is allowing. Just export now. See here, prospecting total opportunities are 5. In the total opportunity, this is the average amount, maximum amount, minimum amount, this is the total amount. Like this we can print the data, or we can fetch the query by using aggregate result based on stage name. Based on stage name, like this we can use for any object. Okay, this is the query. This is the query. Okay, so generally if you go for here, so simply I'm going to mention select count is one of the function, right? Suppose opportunity. If we export now, see, we are not returning any data. Simply we are using count. Whether data is how many records are there? 38 records are there. 38 records are there. So when that aggregate result object it will print, when that aggregate result, if you want inside the count, we can mention ID or name or whatever field, export now, then only aggregate result object will return, and it will show the number of records, whatever available in opportunity. Okay, so whatever data you are returning from SOQL query, so that functions are aggregate functions. Which object we are going to store this data? Always we are storing this data as a aggregate result object, not for actual opportunity. Okay, from aggregate result object, if you want to track the data, then you can use how to get the value on that. Let's see one example for this real time, how to use in Apex code, how to use the aggregate result. Let's see. So here already query is available, right? Result, sum value, total amount, minimum amount, maximum amount we have, right? So already we have average amount, count also. Okay, already result also, Now, how to use this aggregate result, how to loop the data, how to check one by one record means. So here I'm going to use group by stage name, group by stage name, and here you can put comma stage name. Okay. So now we can export now. Just you can export system.debug, system.debug. Just you can mention result. Just copy this one, make it a result, execute. List has more than one row. See here, list has more than one row. Previously it is allowing, right? Then we can make it this one as list. Why? Because now it is returning based on stage means it will return in more than one record. Click on export now. Now we can put debug only. See here, total result, total amount based on stage name, prospecting. And if you go to like this, it will get for another one is need analysis based on the stage name. We can get the return of the list of the aggregate result. Now how to make it, how to check one by one record and how to print the data. Let's see. Go to for loop, aggregate result. What is the object called here? Result. Now I'm going to use res. Now results, result, right? Otherwise you can make it as results. Now here we can make it as result. So now how to print the data? How to print the data each and every value? Suppose I want to print the stage name. Stage name. Just now we are added here. We are added here syntax, right? How to print the name? How to print the particular name means simply what you have to do. String stage name. Just you can put stage name equal to what is the type here? Type is nothing but string. Why? Because stage name is always string, right? Where the string name is available, the result query it is available. Result dot get off. What is the value here? What is the value we are adding here? Field name is stage name. Copy the stage name and make it here. That's it. Just you can print this value. System.debug stage name is just you can mention plus, just you can pass this value. This is how we can get the data from aggregate result object. How to get the data? So string, why? Because it is a string value, and this is the which object it is? It is result object. Result object, what type of value we are returning? That is the type we have to mention, and use the get method, and we can get the value. Just you can print this one. Just execute now. It is executing without any error. Click on debug only. See here, all the stages are coming. Where these stages are available? These stages are available in aggregate result. See here, aggregate result, we are storing the aggregate result query in that aggregate result. How to get the particular field value in that query means this is how we can get. If you want to get any minimum value, so how to get the minimum value? Then simply minimum value is the currency, right? How we are going to measure currency in data type? What is the primitive data type? Decimal. Decimal min amount. Minimum amount equal to what is that? What is the decimal type? Decimal and result query. Result. In that result, what value we need to get? Get of min value. What is the minimum amount? This is the minimum amount. Based on header value, we can find the data. Same we can put system.debug system.debug minimum amount based on stage. Then we can put here minimum amount. That's it. If you want a maximum amount, we can print the maximum amount. Same story. Copy this one and go to here. Just you can put here maximum. You can give any name here. And what is the result maximum amount? This is the result value. Copy here maximum amount, and here you can pass the maximum amount here. Okay. So here this is the maximum amount. Okay, this is how we can run the query. We can run the query and we can store the data into aggregate result. After storing the data, if more than one record, how we are going to make it a for loop? This is how we are going to make it a for loop. From aggregate result object, this is how we can get the data. This is the syntax of the get the data from aggregate result. Click on execute now. Just debug only. See now here everything it is there. In that prospecting, minimum amount is 1 lakh, maximum amount is 96 lakhs. Here it is available based on the stage. Whatever it is returning for query, same data it is returning by using for loop. Okay, so this is something like aggregate result object. Okay, so generally we are using for calculation purpose, we are using for aggregate result. So if people are, if you go for mall or something, or maybe if you want to calculate the data based on the products or based on the product type, maybe electronics how much amount, or maybe it is a cloth how much amount, or it is a grocery how much amount, based on the type of the product. If you want to calculate any data, then we can use for aggregate result object. Okay, generally most of the time this one is not using, rare case we are using, but you can understand how to use aggregate functions in SOQL query. That is main important. Once you return the data from opportunity, how where to store, that is something like a aggregate result. Okay, clear this example? Any question? Any questions?
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yeah, please.
Actually, we getting the results from the easily write the Salesforce inspector, right? Such a, write a single code,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
So why we need to write multiple code in the Apex? Sir? We easily write in Salesforce inspector, they can get the data.
See, query, see here also you can run this query. It will get multiple data only, right?
Yes, sir.
See
Yes, sir.
how, I will tell you. If you go to here, system.debug, if you execute now, the query is written more than one record only. Results here, just you can mention results. See now, this query, it is not a one record. See, it is a query is list of data only. See qualification, need analysis. It is showing list of data comma separated, right? So why go for Apex multiple lines means, why go for the for loop means. So we need to check, right? We need to looping the data, which data you want. You want only that data we need to get the from this list. Okay. See example I will tell you. Suppose I'm giving to 10,000 rupees to you. Okay, in the 10,000 rupees, few notes are some 500 notes and few notes are 200 notes. Now you want to find out the 500 notes. How to find out? You have 10,000 rupees. See, the result is having 10,000 rupees. Okay, here I'm giving the query is written 10,000 rupees, but why need to go for this one? That is what your question, right? Why need to create in these multiple lines? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. See, but now 10,000 rupees we have. Now you need to find out how many notes are 500 and how many notes are 200 from 10,000. How to find out? You have to check one by one record, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You have to
Yes, yes, sir.
count. You have to count 10,000 and you have to find out how many 500 notes are there, how many 200 notes are there. How to find out you have. So you are doing manually one by one record. How we are going to check one by one record in coding? That we are using for loop. And we need to find out based on the stage name what is the minimum amount, what is the maximum amount, right? So same like here, how we are going to find out, same like we are going to write the multiple lines. Hope you clear.
Yes, sir. Thank
Right. Anyone have any questions? See, always why go for multiple lines means that is the based on requirement you have to implement. End user directly they're not using for code, right? See, suppose once you're fetching the data programmatically means something you need to write the logic to execute that log, to execute based on the requirement what business is expecting. Okay, right. Hope SOQL query is completed now. And also we'll discuss few examples for dynamic SOQL query. Nowadays people are asking for interview what dynamic SOQL also. Let's see, next topic is dynamic SOQL. This is also very important. So what is dynamic SOQL? Why go for the dynamic SOQL? Okay, so that is one more example here. See, generally dynamic SOQL query is nothing but instead of passing query value directly, we need to pass the string. SOQL string value we need to pass into the query. And why go for the why we are passing the string means it is a basically it is more flexible to the developer to write a complex queries. Okay, if you want to write any complex queries or if you want to pass any input of the data to query, then we can use for dynamic SOQL query. So simply I can say that the definition of dynamic SOQL query is it means the creation of SOQL string at runtime with Apex code. String runtime with Apex code. Okay. See, generally why go for this dynamic SOQL query? It is basically used to create more flexible queries based on the user input. Okay, so generally whenever you write the dynamic SOQL query, flexible queries, so we have a method called database.query. There is a method called database.query. This is the method generally we are using. So this is, I will tell you what is database query. It is a method. A method is used to fetch records from the database. Okay, so we can generally we can use for normal queries only. If you want to pass any input, user input of the query, see, suppose if you open the one page, suppose if you open one web page, okay, suppose you will pass some data, then only the code will run, or maybe that application will run and it will show some result, right? Some result. Example I will tell you. If you go to Flipkart, so if you search here data, suppose if you search the phone, you will search this is the user input, right? If you search for iPhone 5G or phone, this is user input. I'm giving the input to the application. If you enter now, the phone related, see how many records are written here. See, each product is one record. It will return more than one record. So how it will return the record? This is data we are fetching based on SOQL first point. But which data it is returning? Based on user input. Suppose sometimes user is giving multiple inputs here. How we are going to pass that multiple input to SOQL query? How to pass the where condition? So directly we can use for where name equal to like something like that. Instead of passing multiple data where condition, we can pass as a string to SOQL query and we can get the data easily by using dynamic SOQL query. Means we are not passing any data we are not passing any hard code value. We are passing based on user input. I don't know user what data they're going to search. I don't know which value user is going to provide the input. So based on user input, we are passing the data. We are passing the data to SOQL query, and we can fetch the data, whatever data present in the Salesforce. Let's see one example so that you can understand more what is dynamic SOQL query. Okay. Here what we need to do? Need to pass to the SOQL query string in this method. Okay, in this method to fetch the records. Okay, so now here syntax is database dot query, that is query string, right? So this is the syntax. Let's see one example. Go to Salesforce. Now go to Apex code class, the Apex class, that is Dynamic SOQL. Enter. So we are going to create a method. The method called public static void. So method called call me. So here we are passing the input. What is the input? String something like object name. Just simply we can mention object name. Okay. So here how to write the SOQL query means we can create a string query equal to we can pass like this. How to pass? Select id from id comma what fields it is required, name, from plus here we can pass the object name directly. So we don't know which value user is recommended. Suppose user required account, you can pass the account value directly, it will return the account related object. If you pass the contact directly, it will return the contact related object. Let's see. Now go to here. Which method we are going to use? Query string method, database dot query. Now what is the object we are using? We don't know which object user is passing here. Then simply that object is must be in Salesforce, right? Why? Because either user is passing standard object or custom object, it is a S object. So that object is S object. Results equal to. Now we can use what is the method? Database dot query method. See here query. Just pass this query. Just simply we can use QRY. Why? Because that is the standard name query. Okay. So directly we can use like this. We can use directly query like this. Let's see whether data is coming or not. Okay. So for loop, we can use for loop s object, s, and what is the result here? This is the result. Now we can print. Okay. System.debug, debug. Just simply you can print the data. Save now. What I'm going to do here, why go for the dynamic SOQL query means, dynamic SOQL query always you can pass the query value as a string. This is the string value. In between string only we can define the query. And why it is called as a dynamic query means we don't know which object data user is going to require. Suppose control E. Now we can remove this data. Now how to run the query? This is the static method dot method name. What is the method name? Call me. Now here, which data user is expecting? If you want user account, just you can pass account data. Okay. Same query we can return here. If you want to contact, we can pass the contact. So if you want opportunity, then we can pass opportunity like this. Okay, opportunity. Like this, dynamically user is providing which object data it is required. You can pass this method, automatically this code will return and it will return the result. Okay, let's see, execute this code. Right. Now execute. Okay, something error is coming. What is that? Here you can put the space. Space is required because of after from. Click on execute now. Again, line number 6. Database.query. List of S object is correct, right? Result, object name, select id comma name, string. Any question here? Any issues? Let me execute only first one. Execute highlighted. Unexpected token UIE query exception, line number 6, column number 1. List of a subject, result, database dot query, query string we are passing. Okay, yeah, here remove this. Just save now. Is it correct or mirrored? From let's execute now. No. Space now. Select ID name from account object name only, right? Okay. Then why it is getting error? Database dot result. String is object. Execute now. Right, it is executing. Maybe some because of some space only. Okay. See now here. Account data it is returning. See all account data it is also returning. And not the same query we are returning contact data. Same query we are returning opportunity data. Okay. Means this is something like dynamic SOQL query. Means same just now we discussed right in Flipkart. If you search with based on phone details, the phone related information it is showing list of data. If you search with any cloth related, the cloth related data it will search. We don't know what user is going to enter. We don't know which object data user is going to request. So that it is possible by using dynamic SOQL query. Dynamic SOQL query it will run as a string value. String query we are passing to the method that is something like a database.query method, and in this database.query based on user input we can pass as a string query and we can get the data. Okay, so this is generally we are using for dynamic SOQL query in Salesforce. Suppose if you mention object name, suppose that object name is not available. Suppose account 123 or 4 object name is not available. Then what is the result it will come? If you enter Flipkart any unknown value, it will return oops as a suppose go to here Flipkart, enter, open the Flipkart. You can enter any unknown value. Just enter. It will not return anything. Sorry, no results found. Okay, because of backend developer, it will get some query exception. Here also, is there any such functionality? If you export this, if you execute now, just you can execute now. See here, system.query exception. If the object is not available, if the user input is not matching to the query, then we can get a query exception. Okay, that object is not supported. Here also it will execute. Okay, hope you clear. So this is something like dynamic SOQL query. So how to execute this query? Go to here. This is how we can execute the query. Now here note point. If the query string is wrong, means the query is wrong, or maybe the query string value or maybe that object value is wrong, then what happened? This method returns query exception error. Okay, so it will not going to run more, it will get a query exception error. Okay, this is something like dynamic SOQL query. And in this dynamic SOQL query we can one more thing is what is variable binding in dynamic SOQL query. As of now dynamic SOQL query always you can pass as a string, so directly like this also we can pass the string. How to get means I will tell you. Here also I will run list of s object. Okay, so simply I can mention accounts equal to database dot query query. So instead of passing here, directly we can pass string here. How to pass string query means like this. Select id comma name from account. If you want any condition, you can put condition as well. Where active equal to, like this you can, otherwise simply you can mention the data. Just click on execute now, it will get the data. Simply system.debug accounts. Just execute now, it will execute. See, it is executing without any error. Go to the debug only. See all the account name, everything, it is coming as a list. So this is the list of data. So directly we can pass the SOQL query inside the method, or we can make it as a string value. Either you can pass directly SOQL query inside the method, or maybe based on user input also we can run the query. Based on user input, they will dynamic SOQL query will return the data based on database.query method. Whatever you want requirement, then you can use like this. So sometimes in real time we need to make it, and we need to make it, some of the components are dynamic form, dynamic components. That is, we have a separate concept called dynamic apex. In that dynamic apex, most of the time we are using for dynamic SOQL queries only. Dynamic apex means same code we can use for multiple objects. That is something like reusable purpose. We are implementing dynamic component. Best example is Flipkart. If you search something, the related data it will come if it is available in Flipkart. Okay, if you want to search anything, the related data it will come. How it will get the data based on user input means that we can use for dynamic SOQL query. It is easy to develop and easy to return the data. It is more flexible to the developer and more flexible to the SOQL query to pass the input based on user entered. Okay, so some we are using for dynamic SOQL query most of the time when searching the functionality. Okay, by user side. Right. Now, so we can pass the variable. So we can pass the variable into where condition. Suppose where condition, we can pass the variable into dynamic SOQL query. Yes, we can pass the data. How to pass the data variable? See, there is a one more concept is variable binding. Variable binding in dynamic SOQL. Okay, what is variable binding in dynamic SOQL query? Okay, so we can use bind variable means, example I will tell you. Go to same method, okay, here. So here what I am going to use, I'm going to remove this method, or maybe I'm going to remove this S object. Okay, just to remove this code. Now save now. Now here, what is the variable binding? Variable binding Variable binding is nothing but how to do that. Suppose I have a string value, string maybe what we are going to use. Okay, str equal to something. I'm going to use united percentage. Okay, simply I'm going to use united percentage. I want to fetch only accounts which accounts are start with united. I want to fetch only accounts which are named start with United from account table. Then how to use this binding variable? We can use this binding variable directly. Yes, it is possible. How to use that? Same list of S object, accounts are simply we can mention as a results equal to, what is the method? Database dot query. What is the string value here? Directly I'm going to use select id comma, or simply I'm going to mention name from account. Then how to use this how to use this variable? Directly, how to use this dynamic variable into here means, simply we can use here where condition, where name like name like, we can use simply str. Okay, like this. Save now. It will save now. Database.query, select name from account, where name like str. Let's see, just put the system.debug, results. Just pass this results here, right? Save now. Now we can execute this. Oh my God. So it is saved, right? Let's see. I'll open. By mistake, I am going to mention. Where is the dynamic SOQL? Yeah. Luckily, it is having Control E. Now, what is the method name? Dynamic SOQL query dot call me. Just execute now. Just execute. It is executing without any error. Just put the debug only. See now, account name is United Oil Corporation. Account name is United Oil Gas Singapore. Account name is United Oil. See means inside the query. Inside the query, do you want to bind any variable? Or do you want to bind the data any variable based on the condition? Then we have to use like this. We have to use multiple bindings. If you want to use, you can use the plus symbol and you can add multiple values. Suppose we can add the field binding, then we can add the binding variable field. So this is the static variable, right? We need to declare the variable and we can pass the data. Suppose here we can use variable as a field. Okay, variable field binding. Variable field binding. What is variable field binding means? See, suppose I'm going to insert account ACC new account. Understand, if you have any confusing, please let me know. It is easy only. Okay, account. The reason why I'm explaining these things, right? Because of sometimes code level, this is how we are passing the dynamic SOQL query, binding variables, how to pass, and how to pass object variables, field variables directly. Okay, so suppose here I'm going to insert name equal to test account, and also comma phone number equal to 1 2 3 4 5. Example. Okay, now same system.debug, we can use one more query here. Okay, so here result, just I'm going to mention result. Okay, so directly we can pass here acc.name, because of already we are using acc.name, right? We are inserting some data here. We are inserting some data directly, we can pass this acc name. Let's see. Save now. Control E. Just execute now. See, variable does not exist. Previously what happened, if you pass the variable directly string, it is allowing. Now if it is a object, variable, object particular field, object is contain name comma phone number, right? If you pass the object variable, it is allowing? No, it is not allowing. Then what is the alternate approach? How to pass the field variable directly? Directly it is not possible to run this query because of variable does not exist. Then simply what is alternate approach? Just make it string AC equal to acc dot name. Just simply we can put that. Means we can hack this value. We can hack this value into store into the string. Directly we can pass this value to here. Okay, this is how we can resolve the issue. Let's try now. Control E, click on execute now. See, now it is executing without any error. Go to debug only. See, test account only one record is available. Why? Because we are inserting here test account, we are value. I think inside also test account one value is available. So this is how we can use for variable field binding. Directly we cannot pass to the object field binding in dynamic SOQL. We have to store into the string and we can pass the variable how many variables are required here. Okay, so this is something like variable binding and field binding. Okay, so this is example for SOQL query. Do you want entire code? I will paste instead of paste it. Hope you clear what is dynamic SOQL query. Okay, so same, if you want to pass the fields as a string, and if you want to pass the object as a string, we can pass the data. Simply dynamic SOQL query, always you can pass query as a string query, and we can make it more flexible to the based on user input. What user is going to provide the input, based on the input we can fetch the data from the database by using dynamic SOQL query. Dynamically, we don't know user what data user is entered. Based on the user input, if available, we can fetch it. If not available, the query is no result. Okay, return no result. This is something like dynamic SOQL query and aggregate functions. Okay, so tomorrow we'll discuss about DML statements, that we'll discuss tomorrow. Okay, and we have one more also. In SOQL queries, we can use SOQL for loop. We can use for SOQL query inside the for loop as well, and also we can use SOQL query outside the for loop. Maybe that we'll discuss at the time of best practice. Okay, as of now we can remember only these things. Okay, if you want more information about dynamic SOQL query, we can follow the document, and if you want more information on aggregate result also, you can follow the apex guide. Whatever there in my notes, that is sufficient. Any questions? Clear dynamic SOQL query, how to pass the variables, and how to write the dynamic SOQL query, how to pass the query as a string. Dynamic query, always it is start with single quotes, that is the string query. Normal queries, it is start with the bracket, that is the select queries. Okay, so normal query always it will start with the bracket, and the dynamic query it is always start with the single quote. Okay, these two things are difference between normal query and dynamic SOQL query. 11 classes, still two more classes required for basics. DML state. Next class we are going to discuss about DML. Once DML concept is completed, basics are completed. Whatever we discussed, basic concept, that is very, very important, guys. If you know the basic concept, remaining code is very easy. Okay, easy to understand while I'm explaining. Any questions? Clear today's class? If you have any questions, please let me know. No questions, then we can wind up. No questions.